There's definitely less.
We'll get started in just a few seconds here.
Have you been to any other sessions today?
And thank you all for coming out today on this very snowy day. I think everyone is fed up with winter, or at least I am, especially since I haven't gotten to go skiing much. Well, why don't we get started here? Again, thank you very much for joining us this morning for our panel, which is Original Internet TV, the Cross-Platform Explosion. My name is Sun-Jen Young, and I'm a Managing Director at Headwaters MB, which is a middle market investment bank, and I run the digital media and internet investment banking practice there. Our firm has about 70 bankers spread across the U.S., and we do mergers and acquisitions, advisory, and capital raises. Some of the companies that I've sold at Headwaters include RightsFlow to YouTube and Google, and YouTube is now using it as their music publishing platform. I sold Cooking.com to Target Corporation, and then last year one of the deals I announced was selling Perfect Market to Taboola, which is a very large private company in the content management space based here in New York and Israel. And in the video space, I represented Rumblefish in social video monetization and the sale to CSAC, a performing rights music organization, which is owned by Risk Traverse. They have a hot hand in the private equity market these days. They were the largest investor in Twitter pre-IPO. So with that, I'm just going to introduce our panelists and let them say a couple of minutes or a few minutes about who they are, what they do, and how it's relevant to our topic at hand. I'll make a couple of opening remarks, and then we'll have questions and leave time for answers or Q&A at the end. If you have questions in the middle, that's fine, just raise your hand. We welcome interactive discussion. So we've got a great set of panelists today. I think they represent a lot of interesting aspects of the industry right now. Right here I have Kurt Knudsen, who is his own brand. He's known as Cyber Guy. And next to him is Mitch Eskenes, who is Senior Vice President of Commercial in the Americas for Pixel, which used to be Kit Digital. And next to Mitch, I have Wes Williams, who is the Director of Product Management for Scripps Networks Interactive. We all are very familiar with the many great channels that Scripps Networks has. And then David Shadrack-Smith rounds out our panelists. He's the founder and director of Part 2 Pictures, who works with a lot of big brands. His responsibilities include being executive producer for This Is Life with Lisa Ling, CNN, and Oprah Winfrey Presents Belief. So with that, we're here today to talk about original internet TV. And the reason it's relevant is the U.S., for example, has always been known as a great place for consumption of TV. So Nielsen every year has a report that says that American households have their TVs on for an average of 40 hours a week. And there's about 110 million TV households in the U.S. And I think, the U.S. population is somewhere around roughly 250 million. Now, take YouTube as an example, and I've moderated panels in the past about the power of YouTube, and this is not just YouTube for this panel, but it's a good proxy for what original internet TV can be. So on YouTube, there's over 1 billion users now. It's in 75 countries localized, 61 languages. The current statistics say that there are 300 hours of video being uploaded every single minute on YouTube. That's a lot. The number of hours that are watched daily on a monthly basis are up 50% year over year. So we're really just in the key part of the growth curve. And half of their views are on mobile devices, which gets into the second part of the title of our program, which is the cross-platform explosion. So with that as a setup, I'm going to turn it over to start with Kurt to talk a little bit about his background.
Sun, thank you very much, and we sure do need a sun on a day like today where there's little outside. Well, it does remind me a lot about being here in the Czech Republic, in Prague. It is beautiful here, which you all heard. Beautiful design building, and even more handsome audience. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for having me here. 1996, I had this crazy idea that I would take my geek interest in life of disassembling the family's intercom system and attempting to successfully put it back together again, and was just absolutely into how things work, and launched with an idea of this thing coming called the internet, launched a small media brand using local news where a report is syndicated inside of local TV stations around the US, and that's called the Cyber Guy. And take it to today, and now I am a national contributor for Fox News, Fox and Friends in the morning, and Fox Business Channel, and occasionally NBC Today's show. Great people there. I'm also in this interesting place where not only have I covered technology and interviewed Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, been at every single major tech consumer electronic launch, never missed a CES, can speak geek, but also like to know how it can really rock and move us as just normal people in life. And I enjoy travel, and I enjoy blending technology with travel, and I also enjoy getting entertainment and content in video form the way I want it, rather than through traditional means of watching TV or going to a movie theater. Yesterday was a prime example of being on board an airplane. Delta has this new thing called Delta Studio, where you can stream TV shows and movies inside their aircraft. Well, it was so complicated that I couldn't even figure it out until I was more than halfway through the flight and the internet busted. So there's a lot of growth and a lot of possibility in this whole arena. I think you guys are really smart for being here. So I'd like to take what I do in terms of reporting in this area and what I've learned, and try to also parlay what I do, because I come from a very traditional background of being an entrepreneur who's also found himself being a reporter that's syndicated, and it's a business for me. So we derive revenue from advertising with annual sales roughly around $12 to $18 million. And you go, what? Off of the segment on TV? Yeah, there's a lot of money in TV. There's even more money in where TV is going, and I hope we can impart some of that, and I hope I learn, as you do today, from these great guys. Mitch?
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for being here. It's a challenge to get here in the morning, but glad we all made it. So, kind of a great segue from talking about making money. One of the things what Pixel really focuses on as a technology company is really how to monetize video, how to generate a positive return on investment on video, and that's really the key here. You know, it's really great to create video and put it online so people can see it, but at the end of the day, you want to make money. So we work with content owners and aggregators and distributors in multiple ways, with the biggest focus on how do we help their business deliver internet video online in all the different platforms, television, traditional television, new television, mobile devices, but really come at it, instead of from a technology perspective, which is what our roots are, but come at it from a business perspective. How do you put together really a comprehensive program, which includes the delivery platform, to make money, to look at all the aspects of what consumers would want to pay for that content, how to package that content, how the content owner should pay us as a technology vendor and partner with us to help make money together, so we're invested together. And then how to package the content up and what content they should actually have. So just because a company has their own content store of content, or they have aggregated some content, maybe there's more. Maybe there's more that they haven't thought about to build a better brand and a better business. So Pixel really is this 360 holistic company. It's the largest independent provider of video platforms in this space. We're just more than that, which is really what makes a difference. And this is a great discussion, because the technology at this point is, yeah, we have one of those, and really the key is how do we make money off video, and how do we do it in a way that's different, that makes our video, your video, stand out from the crowd so it can be found amongst all the video that's out there. And 300 hours per minute means that the store is very crowded, and it's impossible to distinguish the good from the bad and to find it amongst these piles of videos. So that's what we do as a company when we work with our partners.
Hi, Wes Williams, Scripps Networks. I'm the product manager for our TV Everywhere apps. I'm lucky that I get to work with all of our great networks. So those brands include our apps for Food Network and HGTV, Cooking Channel, DIY, and Travel Channel. So all of our content is original to TV anyway, so first we start there. In my world, original content, probably in this context, is really of two types. It's the type of videos that are related to shows that are on TV, but these videos are done for other platforms first. And then there are original content pieces that are produced specifically for the digital platforms and were never on TV. But one thing that I see though is in our apps and places where we put those side by side, people gravitate to the full episodes that were on TV. They just want to be able to watch them on their schedule, on their platform of choice. So people see making that choice already. But of course, when you think about it, we've already put a lot of promotion, a lot of brand equity building into those full episodes that were on TV. So then it's an uphill climb for the original content that's exclusive to other platforms.
Well, I am the guy with the deer in the headlights, the content provider, the maker of the content that's supposed to go on all of these different platforms. And I founded Part 2 Pictures about 9 years ago. Very traditional time in television. We had traditional clients like National Geographic and Discovery Channel and Oprah's network when that launched. And as we have evolved, we have also started to question and be a little bit afraid of the changes that are coming and how that's going to affect what we do, what the canvas of our work is, and what audiences we're trying to reach. So hopefully I can add to the discussion from the content provider point of view and ask some questions as well.
That's great. So thank you very much for those introductions. Just to set the stage at the beginning of our discussion, what do you all think about original programming for internet TV today? I mean, what comes to mind? I'll just open it up. Kurt?
I'll start and just say that I think you'll run into people that'll sit up on panels like this that will tell you the absolute, that here's the way deals are coming down. It's absolutely imperative that you partner with partners X, Y, and Z. The reality is, what I see, is that the sky's the limit still. And generating platform relationships is key. Sure, you've got to be in the business to reach the eyeballs. And I still think this is a huge laboratory. And I think it's interesting to look at what's working. And there's stuff that I see that absolutely blows my mind in terms of, you've got people like David on the other end of this table who for years is well sought after by, owned by numerous name brand networks for his production skills. His production quality value is second to none. But then you turn on what is getting traction right now on YouTube. And the top 5 people on YouTube, the first one.
Let me just guess, is one a cat video? No, I'm just kidding.
Not far off.
It's 125.
Very, very, very close. So I actually have the notes. So there's a gal who's the #1 on YouTube, the most watched person. And what she started doing was simply opening up toys that were branded Disney toys. And what happened after that is nothing short of the thing that just boggles my mind, because her numbers are into the billions of cumulative video views of her channel. And if I can find my email here, I'll tell you the valuation point that was recently done by a analyst called Social Blade. And it pegged her into some extraordinary numbers that when you are coming from a traditional television background, or even work right now in publishing and you've got some web revenue coming in, these numbers just go crazy. We're talking about, I'll find it, but her numbers were roughly $24 to $26 billion is her estimated value of annual ad revenue. From a girl who, I kid you not, and hats off to her, will sit in front of a single camera that's turned on a table, and she'll open up a toy, and it'll be in a she's very deliberate about what she does. She speaks to a 3-year-old. So it's grown into this international audience of multiple millions of hits of each one of her videos. But it is nothing more than water's a better one.
Isn't she still anonymous too?
Is she
Isn't she still anonymous? You don't know
Oh, no,
who it is,
she
right?
is.
Okay.
You know who these people are now because advertisers are beating their doors down. What YouTube restricts though in their contracts is they are not allowed to share any monetary information of anything they're making. And what we do know is the bulk of the revenues are kept by YouTube at this point, but there's a shift in that as well. But she will, I'm kidding you not, sit in front and just say, this is a Poland Springs bottle of water that's in plastic and it has liquid water at room temperature inside, and I took the cap off earlier, and thank you, bye guys. And you're going, what? That is what is gaining the very most traction of YouTube audience right now? Yes. The rest relate to video games, about cheats inside of Minecraft or reviews of Minecraft. There's a guy who's number 3 on the list who is involved in mocking what's on the screen and narrating in a very funny, he's very talented with his humor, but he makes fun of what's going on the screen as it goes, and it's engaging in his own content. But I sit here and I go, wow, that's the take on the future of internet TV? Okay, it doesn't appeal to me, no, but am I the future of internet TV? Maybe not. Maybe I'm not your guy. Maybe we need to start looking at why I hopped on an airplane to visit my friend in London with her 8-year-old son on board the aircraft with a great internet connection. And while we had a wonderful night's sleep in business class trying it out, here's this kid bright-eyed the entire flight on YouTube, thrilled with the idea that he can just stream one YouTube video after another, never got a wink of sleep. Did he care? No, he was thrilled.
So I have to say my older teenage son watches a lot of YouTube of League of Legends, different League of Legends videos. Anyway, David and Wes, coming from more of the traditional broadcast perspective, what do you think of when you think of original internet TV today?
I think that all the webisode series, I mean, there are a lot of projects, first of all, that are just done as a creative outlet for people where maybe they don't expect to make a whole lot of money doing it, but they just feel that they want to do this, and then maybe it will turn into something, if they're really lucky. Then there are all the pieces that say they're being done more as promotional purposes, or branded experiences where they really don't expect a wide audience perhaps, but they're hoping that they put enough of these things out there in the Ethernet that something will bubble up and it'll help whatever their real primary product is. One thing I don't think about when I think of original content though too, or the original shows like Netflix and Amazon, to me those are just TV, really. They just feel like TV because they're same sort of format, they're half-hour, hour-long kind of lean-back shows, fully scripted, and that's just the same to me.
Yeah, and it was interesting that you started off by saying that you get more traction on full shows on your platform than you do the web-only content. And I do find that regardless of how you intake it, whether it's through your cable or through your Netflix, or that people I know are still watching traditional shows. They're finding them differently, but the idea that you're going to tell a story, whether it's a half-hour, hour-long format or a serial format, is still quite powerful and engaging. And I do constantly ask my teams, who are all, range from 20 to 25 at times, what are they watching? And they're watching content that I can relate to as traditional form. I never thought I would be competing in the marketplace with something like Surprise Egg or these opening up present things, and that's bewildering to me, but I don't think it pushes what I do or what people are watching out of the way. I think it just broadens the perspective. It's a different experience when you watch that than when you're watching a well-produced, well-made story. And I do think that's still going to exist. The stuff that I think is the most interesting on the web that you don't see on traditional TV are things that are really experimenting with the form of of content, that are trying out different cameras or telling stories in different ways. Maybe there's an animated bit, or there's some kind of, like I watch a lot of New York Times op docs, for instance, right? And they can be really well done, not in a way that might sustain over a whole long period, but it's just right, 5 to 8 minutes of somebody really experimenting with content and form, and that to me is what is the most interesting draw for me. I'm probably not going to watch.
So who is the audience these days for internet TV?
I think the audience is really, the audience is everybody, but I think internet TV is putting it too much of in a box. I mean, at this point, television, video, animation of stories, right, live people animation, can be displayed on any kinds of device. And the key is really fitting the content to the device. And that's what's really happening. So to your point, we have these devices that we're mobile, we walk around, which means that we can do other things at the same time. So the content that people are watching on them fits, right? It's 2 minutes long, it's 1 minute long. Whereas when the device is attached to the wall, you go to a physical movie theater and you're expecting to be entertained for a long time, that content works. So the content fits the medium, and the medium drives the content, and what we do at any particular point in time is driving both of those things, right? So we have the ability to move around and watch things and multitask, so therefore we want content that we can consume in small parts. So even if it's a long story, it might be broken up into very short segments as opposed to a half-hour segment to tell the same story, because that's how we're consuming it. So the whole idea of saying internet TV is really more of just storytelling, looking at the different devices that you want to target and how you want to tell your story and where you want people to consume it when they want to. And that's really what we have to look at. And if we can figure out ways to make, it's not an exact science, but if we can figure out ways to take advantage of those different things with different, and maybe the same story is told different ways for different mediums, right? So you might want to look at it and say, well, a cooking show, for example, or a long interview, maybe you break it up into small parts, one question at a time. I'm interested in that one thing. So OpDocs is a perfect example. It's a very short vignette, right? And it's perfect for me on the go, on the subway, in a taxi cab. But probably not going to sit down and watch 20 of them in a long story on the wall. So that's really what's making a difference. And the technology is helping facilitate all new ways to express ideas and stories, and it's making it convenient and easy for all of us to do that, which in the past you had to be an expert, right? You had to have a team, you had to have quality production. You still have to have that, but you don't need a whole elaborate setup to do it.
Look at how these content services all started taking off once they broke free from the desktop computer. Two things that made all these services really take off. So there was the path to the TV set. Once you could start getting all these things through Roku boxes and other stuff on your TV sets. And the other one is mobile. Mobile and tablet took off, and you could carry these things around with you, like you mentioned. That's when suddenly people start spending a lot more time, I think, watching these.
Well, I mean, the key part of all this is the distribution chain, right? Traditional television, the distribution chain is fixed, right? There is only so many channels. They're no more going to get created on traditional cable, because there's just no more space to put them. And the more higher resolution channels we get, we actually lose space. So there's all this content that wants to go somewhere because it's great, and it was being stifled from the distribution chain. You had to fight really hard to get your thing stuffed down that one channel, which will last 24 hours in one day. And there's a lot of content that falls off that's great, that people want, and now we don't have to make those choices. You can go to other places with less restrictive distribution chains where you can take control of it yourself. So we're getting access to things that we didn't get access to before.
But going back to audience, again, I use my own household as an example. I have 2 teenage boys, and they rarely watch the actual TV set anymore.
Because the things on that TV set are not interesting.
Well, that's a very interesting point. As somebody who's out pitching a lot in a lot of television channels, including lots of scripts, I have found last year that the conversation changed a lot to who their audience is remaining watching the terrestrial, or whatever we would call traditional television. And that audience actually demographically bifurcated so that the people were still watching when something was broadcast on television. First of all, please stop me, you probably have more data on this than I do, but anecdotally, that was, an older, more sort of middle America, a little bit more male, the audience that was consuming shows that, like, sort of Duck Dynasty was like the model that everybody used last year, right? So everyone said, that's our audience. Those are the people left watching TV, whereas the younger, somewhat more affluent, somewhat more educated, urban, coastal audiences are still consuming television. They weren't doing it by clicking on their TV. They cut the cord, as we all say, right? So as a person going in and pitching, they're saying, well, we need this kind of show because this is our audience. And I think last year, that was the conversation I heard a lot. Make content for the audience that is left watching TV. Now, this year, I'm already feeling like the conversation is shifting again, and people are saying, wow, we lost that whole audience because we stopped making content for them. As they were leaving, we didn't give them any reason to stay, right? So suddenly, there's this awareness that maybe we need to build the content that will eventually go across many different platforms, but it has to start on TV, and there has to be a reason for people to want to still watch TV, whether we're talking about TV through your box or TV through apps and TV anywhere kind of things. But I found that there was a very different audience being targeted when everyone, I call last year was like the year of fear, right, in TV, but there was a very different audience that people were telling us to develop for, and now I feel like we're being encouraged, or we're getting the chance again to develop for an audience that is broader than just the ones left